What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson, today doing a solo episode. I don't have graphics or anything because I was supposed to record with Will later this evening discussing the potential Jake Guentzel trade, but he's a little busy right now. He's taking a test at school, but I have this feeling inside of me that this trade might get done before he's free. So we're just going to crank out a solo one going on right here. So we're going to talk about Jake Guentzel today. But before we do have some breaking news to announce. Yesterday, me and Will discussed a possible trade between the Rangers and Seattle Kraken for Alex Wennberg. It was all but confirmed at that point. We were just waiting for it to become official. As of 5 minutes ago, it is official. The New York Rangers have acquired Alex Wennberg, their new third-line center, in exchange for a 2024 second-round draft pick, a 2025 fourth-round draft pick, and in return, the Rangers get Alex Wennberg at 50% retained salary. So we knew it would happen. Here it is. The Rangers have landed their 3C. Honestly, based on the reactions to yesterday's video, it seems like the fan base was a little bit split on the possibility of getting Wennberg. A lot of people were satisfied by it. A lot of people said that it's just a waste of assets and that's not enough to really make the Rangers become Stanley Cup champions. I personally am happy with it. We might have been a little bit of an overpay that the Rangers gave up right there. But at the end of the day, look at the climate of the trade deadline atmosphere this year. Everyone's going for first-round draft picks. There's really only been one fleece, and it was by the Florida Panthers earlier this afternoon, acquiring Vladimir Tarasenko, former New York Ranger, from the Ottawa Senators for like a third and a conditional fourth, I think, like that. But kind of similar to what the Rangers traded for Wennberg, except instead of a third, it's a second. But we had all that salary retained. So to me, it kind of seems like an even trade deal. I know Wennberg isn't the flashiest player. He only has 25 points in 60 games played. But you need to consider the fact that he's been playing in an elevated role in Seattle this season on their second line. He's not a top six forward. He's going to be perfect on the Rangers' third line. He's a very dynamic two-way center. He's more of a passer than he is a shooter. He's going to be good on the penalty kill. And when I look at that third line of Cooley, Wennberg, and Kakko, I think it's an improvement from Johnny Brodzinski, who will likely be down on the fourth line now. Obviously, the Rangers still have some bigger fish to fry. That first line right wing is still vacant. So now that we've covered the breaking news aspect of this episode, we can head on into the speculative discussion that we have going on. Who is going to fill that top line right wing role? A couple of names have been thrown around. Frank Vetrano's out there. We've talked about him a lot on this channel. So if you're interested in hearing what we have to say about him, be sure to check that out. I think we can officially cross Jordan Eberle off of the list. If he was going to be traded to the Rangers, it likely would have been a part of that Wennberg deal that just went down. So I don't think that's going to happen. Tarasenko off to Florida, as I just mentioned. So when I look at big names that are left out there, there's really only two: Pavel Buchnevich and Jake Guentzel. I think Jake Guentzel, as much as I love Buch, Guentzel is probably the better fit for the Rangers. We know that Kreider and Zibanejad have been having a little bit of a rough stretch recently. Zibanejad has 0 points in his last 5 games. They clearly need some help to wake up and get things going right there on that first line. And it's really at 5v5. And I think of who's one of the top 5v5 players out there, just in the NHL in general. Jake Guentzel, he might be one of them. And we know that if you look around the trade bait board around the NHL, Guentzel is probably at the top of everyone's list, that he's going to be moved at this deadline. Pittsburgh is actively shopping him. My only concern regarding a Guentzel trade is the fact that the Penguins might not want to trade him within the Metropolitan Division to the Rangers or whoever might be wanting him. But I think if Chris Drury is able to sweeten the pot, maybe give a little more than we need to, Pittsburgh might be willing to ship him to the Rangers. And it was confirmed earlier this afternoon that the Rangers were aggressively pursuing him, amongst other teams. Vancouver is another team that was aggressively pursuing Guentzel, but it is confirmed that the Rangers have been making calls and they are interested in acquiring Jake Guentzel. As far as what the trade package would look like, it's going to have to be a lot. I know it is also confirmed that the Rangers have said they are perfectly okay with giving up their 2024 first-round draft pick for Guentzel, as well as Kaapo Kakko. So that's 2 major assets right there that they'd be willing to move on from. If I were to ever see Kaapo Kakko in a Penguins jersey, I might cry. But at the end of the day, for Jake Guentzel, it might just have to happen. As far as those two assets, I don't think that would be enough for the Penguins to give Guentzel to the Rangers. You're probably going to have to include at least another draft pick and maybe one of your top prospects. I know teams have been making calls on Brennan Othmann and Gabriel Perau, and Drury has hung up the phone as soon as either name has been mentioned. But if you want to go out and acquire a guy like Jake Guentzel, you might have to give one of them up. Now, obviously, longtime fans of Fireside Rangers know we love Brennan Othmann. We love Gabriel Perau. We've been tracking Othmann for the last couple of years since he was drafted. And now that Gabriel Perau was just drafted this year, looking like the steal of the 2023 draft, we've been following him too. And we don't want to see the Rangers give it up. But as of right now, trading for Wennberg, did it improve the Rangers' chances of winning the Stanley Cup? Yes. But was he the final piece of the puzzle? No. They're going to have to go out and they're going to have to acquire a very big name. Because right now, if the Rangers were to face off against the Florida Panthers, now with Vladimir Tarasenko as a part of their lineup, they are not winning that playoff series. I hate to break it to you, but the Rangers are getting destroyed by the Florida Panthers in 5 games, probably, if I had to make my official prediction as a part of this episode. So Rangers really need to go out and make some sort of splash here. And Jake Guentzel might just be that guy. So as far as a potential trade package, you're going to have to be okay with giving up that first-round draft pick. You're going to have to be okay with giving up a guy like Kaapo Kakko, one of our best guys. I'm not even afraid to say it. You know, there's a lot of Kakko haters out there. He might not score a lot of points, but defensively, he's a unit. And I love him. And you might have to give him up. Brennan Othmann or Gabriel Perau, at this point, I don't know which one you would want to give up on. Because obviously Brennan Othmann is a lot closer to becoming a full-time NHL player. He made his debut this season. He's played, I think it was just that one game he played in. Maybe he played in a second, but I don't remember. But then at the same time, Gabriel Perau, he just has so much raw potential playing down there in college with Boston College. He's leading the NCAA in points as a freshman too. That's the type of deal that you're going to have to make Pittsburgh in order for them to be okay with giving up one of their best players to a team that's within their division. And obviously, because Pittsburgh, they're not having the best season. I think they're currently out of a playoff spot, if I am correct. Looking right now, they are currently looking at the wild card standings. Detroit holds the first one, Tampa holds the second, then Islanders are third, Washington fourth, and then Pittsburgh fifth. But they are within playoff reach. So, they're not in rebuild mode just yet. If they have a great end to the season, they can still make the playoffs. So to have them give up one of their best players to the Rangers, a lot needs to be on the table. So to me, yes, Brennan Othmann or Gabriel Perau would need to be a part of that trade package. Now, as far as should the Rangers make that trade, I think that this is $1 million question because there's entirely 2 ways that you could look at it. And I don't think there's really going to be much middle ground amongst the fan base right now because you're giving up major parts of your future for what is essentially a rental. Guentzel is on the last year of his contract. No one knows where he wants to play next season. There's the chance the Rangers could give up their future in a first-round draft pick, Kaapo Kakko and Brennan Othmann, for 30 games of Jake Guentzel, and then he just goes and re-signs with the Penguins again. Now, obviously, if the Rangers do win the Stanley Cup this season with Jake Guentzel, who cares? It's a win, but it's a very high-risk, high-reward situation that a lot of people are probably going to question, is it worth it? To me, I'm not 100% convinced. I do believe that if the Rangers want to win the Stanley Cup this season, they are going to have to make this trade or a trade for Pavel Buchnevich or someone of that caliber. But, you look around the league, you look at the Florida Panthers, they already were the best team in the league, and they just went out and acquired Vladimir Tarasenko. So the Rangers could very well go through all this pain of getting rid of Kakko and all this effort of acquiring Jake Guentzel just to lose in the conference finals to the Florida Panthers. And there's a lot of other dominant teams out there as well. So, yes, I agree that a trade like Jake Guentzel to the Rangers needs to happen in order for them to win the Stanley Cup. But I'm also not convinced that acquiring Guentzel is enough to make it happen. So, it kind of creates this little weird paradox here where I might just be okay with not winning the Stanley Cup this year because I don't know if it's going to happen. But at the end of the day, we kind of just need to wait and see what happens. Guentzel is more than likely on the move. We kind of just need to see where he's going to go. Obviously, the Rangers are aggressively pursuing him. It's just a matter of will the Pittsburgh Penguins be okay with trading him to the New York Rangers? Now that I've had a couple seconds to really think about it, I'm all for it. I really don't want to see Kakko be traded. I really don't want to see Othman be traded. But the Rangers they're a special team this year. If anyone can wake up Kreider and Zibanejad and really elevate this team to elite Stanley Cup potential talent, it's probably Jake Guentzel. So as much as I hate to say it, it gets one thumbs up. It's not going to get the second, but it'll get one thumbs up. I'd be ecstatic if it happened. I've growing up watching Jake Guentzel play, I've always hated him just because he always performs well against the Rangers. It's kind of the same thing as Artemi Panarin. Panarin right now is my favorite New York Ranger. Probably my favorite of all time in like the 14 years that I've been watching this team. Before he was a Ranger, I hated him. He scored his first goal against us, his first hat trick against us. He had that insane highlight reel goal against us when he was on Columbus. And then as soon as he signed with us, all sins were forgiven. And I've loved him ever since. And I'm willing to do the same for Jake Guentzel if he's going to bring us home a Stanley Cup. And who knows, the Rangers could always go out and do a little sign and trade for him, immediately extend them, lock them up for a little bit. So who knows? We'll be sure to cover more trade deadline breaking news and rumors as they develop. This is the craziest week in the NHL, as it is every single year. Chris Drury finally woke up from his nap and acquired Alex Wennberg this afternoon. Time will tell what else he's going to do because we know he's not done yet. So if you would like to stay up to date with everything New York Rangers as this trade deadline week progresses, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss notification. If you're watching us on Apple or Spotify, be sure to give us a 5-star review. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, both on the Wennberg breaking trade and a potential Jake Guentzel trade. Lastly, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers on Instagram, X, and TikTok. And I hope you all enjoyed, and we'll be sure to bring you more Rangers content daily. Have a good one, and let's go Rangers.